Hey everybody, this is Jeff with Wiseman Automotive. Today we are going to change the engine oil on this 2020 Toyota Camry Hybrid. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to open this oil cap here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to stick it right here, so that way I cannot close the hood without putting that oil cap back on. The next thing I'm going to do is real quick while I have it here, I'm going to check the air filter in it. This one still looks good. The way I did that is that if you look right here, pretty simple to do. You just unclip this right here, unclip that one, and you pick up on this end and pull it that way to get those tabs right there unlatched. So now I put the two tabs back in there, clip these back in place, we're good to go. While I'm over here, I might as well inspect my master cylinder, which is full of brake fluid. Brake fluid from this angle looks pretty good. And as I'm looking around, I'm making sure that I don't see any broken hoses or any missing parts or anything obvious, any leaks, any tears, rips, something like that. Right here is where my windshield washer fluid goes in. So I'll pop that open and I'll wait until the end before I put that in. Looks like I got some engine coolant there. Right here is the overflow for the engine coolant. This one right here, I think is for the hybrid batteries. But both those need to be serviced on a regular maintenance interval. And right here is where you check your engine oil. So I'm going to go ahead and real quick, just to see if this car is burning any engine oil or leaking any engine oil, I'll go ahead and take this out. Put some of my fingers here, I'm going to put it on the O-ring. I'm going to lubricate that O-ring, because if not, they get dry. Push it back down in there, pull it back out. I'm going to check it. Yep, where it needs to be. I'm just going to stick it like that. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to take and raise this vehicle up to about chest height, and then we're going to rotate the tires, and I'm going to make sure to torque these lug nuts down to 76 or 77 foot-pounds. I'll have to check it, see what the torque spec is. So let me get it up in the air real quick. Before I take the tire off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it at the 3 and the 9 o'clock position. I'm going to go back and forth, make sure that the steering feels nice and tight, which it does. I'm going to grab the 12 and 6 o'clock, go back and forth. I want to make sure that the suspension feels good. I could also maybe check for even wheel bearing play, which it does. I'm going to do that to all 4 of my tires before I rotate them. So that way I know if there's a problem, I can let my customer know in their multi-point inspection when I get it done. Okay, I got my 21 millimeter socket. I got my impact gun. I'm going to take these off, and then we're going to rotate them front to back real quick. So I'm at the back right now, and I got my flashlight out. Got the back tire off. I'm checking the rear brakes, the inboard pad, which is the inside one, and the outboard pad, making sure that both of them still look really nice and thick, which they do. This vehicle only has about 51,000 miles on it. I'm going to take this tire back here. Let's see. And I'm going to get a lug nut started. Maybe 2 of them real quick, just to keep the tire from falling off. Now I'm going to go up here to this tire and take my flashlight out, or this, I should say, this wheel or rotor and hub assembly here, and making sure that the inboard pad and outboard pad look good. I'm checking the rotor, make sure it looks good. Make sure that all the lug nuts look, all the studs look good for the lug nuts. I'm going to look inside here, make sure I don't see any engine oil leaks, transmission fluid leaks, coolant leaks, anything like that. Make sure my power steering boots are good, tie rods, sway bar links, the shock absorbers, or in this case, this is called a McPherson strut because it has a shock absorber and the coil spring all in one unit. Make sure it's not leaking or anything like that. Okay, I'm going to get my other tire real quick, and I'm going to put it on here, and then we are going to torque it down real quick. So just so you know, the torque spec for the lug nuts is 76 foot-pounds. I got a torque stick on here to keep me from over torquing it too much. This one sits about 80, which should be fine. Notice how I kind of held the top of the tire as I drew it in, the bottom lug nut in. And now I'm going to tighten this in a star pattern. Okay, make sure you tighten in a star pattern. That way it evenly gets tightened to the hub, and it will keep the tire, for one, from coming loose and rolling down the road when it should be attached to your vehicle. And also, it'll keep you from warping your rotors for your brakes and stuff like that too. Okay, I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate those back to front, and then I'll come back to you, and we will take this thing up in the air. Normally, this is the time that I would adjust the tire pressure for this vehicle, which, if you look in the driver's side door jamb, it is 35 PSI. However, this customer does have nitrogen in their tires. You can see that because it's got a green valve stem cap. Because of that, I will not be adjusting or touching the tires. They can take it back to whoever put the nitrogen in if they ever have a problem with that. So I will not be adjusting that. However, there's something else I want to show you real quick. You can tell these tires are pretty much brand new because look, see how it says 1423? It's after the DOT number. It's down there. That means those tires were made in the 14th week of 2023. That's when the tires were made. So those tires are pretty much brand new. I just want to give you that quick piece of information, just in case you were ever wondering, how do you tell the age of the tire on something? All right, the next thing we're going to do is we have got to get underneath here and get to this oil drain plug. So I am going to grab a 10 millimeter. You have one here, you have one here, and one right there. That shield is meant to basically protect the bottom of the engine from all the road grime and stuff like that. And it's even, if you look right here, this one has an air dam in here, and it looks like what this one is for. I'm trying to see what's going to cool off. Give me a second. Let's say it's going to cool off like the power steering rack and exhaust and stuff like that. If you decide to leave this off of here, and you leave this whole piece off of here, and you do not get that air flowing underneath here to cool off that power steering or exhaust or whatever it's supposed to cool off, then you do run a risk of damaging something. So please make sure you always put these back on. Now, this being a Toyota, I know I need to get out my metric tools. This is all, I should pretty much say, pretty much all of your nuts and bolts on this vehicle are going to be metric, unless there's something aftermarket on here that maybe somebody's added. But other than that, it should be pretty much all metric. So your Toyota drain plugs, they're 14 millimeters. So I got a 14 here. I'm gonna pop that guy loose. Let me back you up so you don't get in the splash zone here. And put my drain pan underneath. I popped it loose. Popped it out of there. Did not even get my finger dirty. And then we have our filter right here. So let me bring you around here. And so you can see right there, it's got a Baldwin filter on there. And that's actually what we're going to use to put back on. The part number for the Baldwin filter is a B33. Baldwins are supposed to be pretty good filters from what I understand. It's the ones that Federated Auto Parts, a line they like to sell. So I hear they're pretty good filters. I've never actually split one of these apart. And so maybe I might do that with this old filter just to see what it looks like with the inside. All right, I got these oil filter pliers. Now there's all kinds of different oil filter pliers you can have. I mean, they have ones for all kinds of different ones. So this right here, hopefully this will work. I like these a lot. This particular set, I think Matco was selling. And I've got 2 or 3 sets of these things. And I highly recommend you get yourself a good set of these oil filter pliers, because not only do these work really well for taking oil filters off, but also if you have a brake caliper that you need to compress the piston back into, these pair of pliers actually work really well for that too. Highly recommend getting a good pair, not a cheap pair. I've had cheap pair. I do not recommend cheap pairs. They are just very, very frustrating. All right, I'm going to let these drain for just a little bit, and I'm going to find out the torque spec for this, which I think is right around 30 foot-pounds. We're going to find out for sure. I'll get a new drain plug gasket, and I'll get the new oil filter ready, and we'll come back at you, so stay tuned. So I took the old oil filter off, and that's where it came from. And as you can tell, that looks pretty clean. I always still like to take a rag and just wipe around it just to make sure, get it all off of there. Another thing you want to make sure you get is that gasket right there. See that black gasket? Make sure you get that off, because you do not want to install your new oil filter with that gasket on there, okay? It's called double filtering the gasket, and or double O-ringing the filter, I should say, and it will definitely leak. And it may not leak at the time that you first put it on there, but it may leak afterwards you get down the road. I put a little bit of used engine oil here on the O-ring. Make sure it gets a good seal. Now I'm going to start this thing on there. And just be real careful. You do not want to cross thread it. That's going to ruin your weekend, ruin your day. And I want to tighten this down hand tight. Now, there is actually a torque spec for that, and it's 13 foot-pounds for anybody who wants to torque it to the exact proper torque location, torque spec. I'm going to hand tighten this just like everybody else does, good and snug, and we're going to go on with that. So your drain plug gasket should be replaced every time you do one of these. I've got a new one right here already on the plug itself. Now I'm looking for my pocket screwdriver or a knife or something. All right, the old one's still on there. You should not reuse the old one. However, I know that people have done it and gotten away with it. But if you can help it, you do not want to reuse it. Those drain plug gaskets are not that expensive. It is a cheap insurance policy to make sure that you do not have any leaks or problems. So when you're picking up your oil and filter to do this job, I highly recommend you get yourself a drain plug gasket. And if this is a vehicle you're going to be doing a lot of, like I am, then I would suggest that you just get like a whole kit of them. Buy like 20 of them or something like that. I got the new gasket on. We'll put it in there by hand. I have my torque wrench set to 30 foot-pounds. And now I'm going to torque this down to spec. Hear that click noise? That's letting you know that you have torqued it to spec. Do not go any tighter than that 30 foot-pounds. We should be good to go. I'm going to take my rag here and I'm going to wipe this off. Sometimes if engine oil gets onto your frame of your vehicle or something like that, or even on your protective tray here, you're going to want to make sure you hose that thing down really good. Usually I use brake clean to do that. You do not want your customer thinking you have an oil leak of any kind, because they will obviously get mad about that. All right. So now that I got this torque to 30 foot-pounds and I got that down hand tight, I'll check it one more time to make sure. Now it's time to put that protective tray back on. And I got my 10mm deep well socket on a 3/8 drive gun. I'm going to put my little tray, my little protector shield back on here. And we're going to put it on here like that. Okay. I didn't go too tight with it. I'm sure there is a torque spec for this too. I generally don't worry about the torque spec on these too much, and I've never had any problems with these. This one only had 3 of them. It looks like it should have had 4. That's okay. All right. Got that back on there. Now she should be good to go. Since I had the vehicle up in the air, I always like to start the front here. I just like to work my way back just to make sure that I don't see any leaks, anything that's obviously wrong. Don't see any holes in the body. The exhaust looks good. Sometimes I like to even tap on the exhaust, make sure I don't hear any rattling or anything like that. Look back up this way. See my oxygen sensor here. Come on back this way. I'm looking for fuel leaks. Looking for exhaust leaks. Looking for broken springs, worn out bushings, holes in the exhaust. Make sure your exhaust hangers are good. Okay. Make sure you don't see anything that's out of the ordinary. Everything looks good. This vehicle, like I said, it only has about 51,000 miles, and I know it's actually garage kept. So vehicle's in really good shape. Okay, I'm going to let it down now, and once I get it all the way down, we're going to fill it full of engine oil, and we'll start it up, and we'll check the dipstick, and we'll go from there. A couple things I want to point out. For one is I want you to see that the keys to this Toyota are sitting right here in my blue toolbox, which is about 10 feet away or so from the car. It's always a good idea to take your key out like that, just to make sure nobody can accidentally start it while there's no engine oil in the vehicle, or if something were to happen somehow electronically and you don't want that vehicle starting without any engine oil. So it's a good thing to take that key out. Okay, I am using the Federated Full Synthetic SAE OW16. Says it right here what it needs to take. OW16 engine oil. I pretty much am using full synthetic in everything I have now, except for my 01 F350 dually truck. Of course, I'm just using regular 1540 in that. Everything I change that I have, I usually change my engine oil at 5,000 miles. Kind of one of those things, whether it needs it or not. I know they can say that some of these vehicles can run 7,500 miles or 10,000 miles between oil changes and stuff. I do not recommend that. I would recommend changing it every 5. Basically, you're not going to hurt it. You're not going to hurt anything by changing your engine oil more regular than you should. Okay. So anyways, we're going to put 4 quarts in there. And while that last quart's dumping, I got my windshield washer fluid. It's up to a negative 20 degree protection. And let's see here. I got you where you can see it. And we're just going to pour right here. Okay. And now that I got 4 quarts in there, which I think this thing takes 4.5, I'd have to check again. We're going to wipe this down real good. put the dipstick in there and check it. Do it again. Sometimes you might have to wait a few minutes between the time you dump it in there. Let that engine oil trickle down there to the bottom of the pan. So sometimes I may even wait up to like, a minute or two, something like that if I have to. If I'm not getting a really good reading. Okay, right now, hopefully you can tell, but it's reading at the very top of here. Just remember, as a rule of thumb, I would not get it all the way to the tip top. I usually shoot for about halfway between, okay? But you want to be between that notch. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a notch right here, my tip of my thumb, and a notch right there. You want to be right in between there. All right, I know I have engine oil in there, so let me take the special funnel out. And if you've seen my videos before, you've seen these whenever I work on a Toyota. I got a couple other ones over here, but I got the special funnel that fits just Toyotas. It's got a screw-in type, and Toyota Lexus oil funnel. Goes through a wide range of Toyotas, I can tell you that, because I've had this thing since the early 2000s. So really neat funnel. Can't say enough about it. All right, what we're going to do now, I'm going to put my oil cap on, and I'm going to take this vehicle, and I'm going to have to get inside, put my foot on the brake, and start it up. I'm going to let it run for about, I don't know, 10, maybe up to 20 seconds. Cut it off. We're going to check the oil level again. And the reason why we have to do that is because we have to fill that empty oil filter. So that's why we have to do that. So I'm going to make sure my hands are clean, excuse me, before I get into the customer's car. And let me start it up, and then I'll come back to you. So I don't know if you can quite tell, but we're at the very bottom here of the mark. So I'm going to add just a little bit to it. Like I said, I don't want to fill it all the way up. You don't want to get all the way to the tip top. But I want to probably put probably a little bit less than a half a quart in there. You want to be somewhere in the middle. You can actually cause a drivability concern if on some vehicles if you have too much engine oil in there. I'll put just a little bit more, and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, let's check that real quick. And I'm back out of here, and look, and right there, I don't know if you can tell in the camera or not, I'm right about there, which is about the halfway point. So I end up using about 4 quarts, and let's see here, about a third, maybe more like about a quarter of the next bottle. So this will go on the shelf for next time. And so now I'm going to take this funnel back out, put this back on. I'm going to make sure that everything looks good and tight. I'm going to shut the hood. We're going to write an oil change sticker for this thing, and then we're going to show you how to reset the maintenance light on it too, okay? So now it's time to reset the oil change light, or the maintenance light. So press the power button once, press it again, excuse me, and now I'm going to hit this back button here, and I'm going to use my scroll pad in this wheel right here. I'm going to go to the right, keep going, and then vehicle settings, I'm going to press OK. I'm going to go to schedule maintenance. I'm going to press OK. You want to reset it? Yes, hit OK. Reset is complete. Okay. So now I've backed out of everything. And now what I'm going to do is hit the power button, turn it back off, open the door, and now I want to put my foot on the brake, start her up, And it was saying there that maintenance was required. And now there are no messages. So there you go. Don't forget to still write the oil change sticker, which I did. I put it up in the top left of the windshield there. So make sure you do that so the customer has a visual. They can kind of look up there and see. I would not go by the maintenance light only on the vehicle. I would go by the mileage, unless maybe you have a vehicle that sits there and idles a lot, like a police officer car or something like that. Maybe an exception to that rule. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. I'll do my best to field them for you. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. And I hope this helped you out. Just remember, if you don't feel comfortable working on these cars, then don't do it. These videos are meant to help people out. But if you don't feel comfortable, then by all means, pay somebody to do it. But I hope I'm helping people out on this channel. I hope people are learning things, and I'm hoping I can save some people some money, because money's tight for everybody these days. All right. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. God bless the USA there, and thanks for watching. All righty. I hope this video helped you out. More importantly, I hope it helps save you money, and also I hope you learned something from this. So please like, subscribe, share these videos, help me out so I can continue to help you guys out. Leave questions, comments, concerns. Hit that subscribe button for me. God bless USA. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one.